Welcome, everybody, to the Beer Guys Radio Show. Thank you so much for joining us, hanging out, having some beer, some conversation. We do always appreciate it. I am Tim Dennis. Brian Hewitt, how's it going?
It's going good. I'm a little tired. I got a trip coming up, and I had a lot of errands to run, and it's surprising how tiring it is just going to various stores, back
just
and
doing
forth in and
stuff.
out. Yeah. Just like moving, it's exhausting. I don't recommend it, Tim.
Yeah. As little as possible, man. As little as possible. And errands always seem to take like longer than they should. Like you're like, I can do this in 30 minutes. 2 hours later, you're like, why did this take so long? This doesn't make any sense.
I did get lucky in a few cases. I'm like, that actually did not take as long as I thought it would. But I had a bunch of things to do. Yeah. And so I'm like, well, that clears up room for this other thing that I also need to do. So like, I'll just get this done too.
Knock it out.
Yeah, I burned up all kinds of time on it. But now it's a good kind of tired, I guess.
You are going to Kentucky, correct?
Yes, I am.
Do you have any distilleries on the agenda yet?
Yes, the Old Forester is one. I kind of want to go back to Michter's. I kind of want to get. I wouldn't mind going back to some of the other ones.
Have you been to like Buffalo Trace or?
I had no.
Makers go dip your own bottle and all that fun stuff.
That would be fun. Yes, there's a couple of other ones. The last time was all a matter of like just opportunity. I was there over a holiday weekend, and a lot of places were closed, so I just went to whatever was available. And and I had a great time. I really did. Like Michter's was one of the places I went, and I went up to their upstairs bar, and they made some great cocktails, and I got to, got to drive around the countryside a little bit, look at some of them. I'm trying to think of, it's escaping me right now. Like I've been thinking about the show. I haven't been thinking about that, but I did go around the countryside. One of them was very scenic. It's a beautiful area. It's just worth the drive. But you go out to these distilleries, they've got tasting rooms. Some of them you have to organize and have a tour set up before, but like do a ticket thing. Yeah, and I just kind of went to the places where I could show up and
drop in,
just have a few drinks. I've seen like the mechanism before. I've been on distillery tours and I've seen a ton of breweries, so I know how fermentation works. I mean, So I don't need to see all that.
No, I think that you're just telling yourself that because this is a trip with the wife, so it can't be an all bourbon trip.
True.
Because I'm sure if you went up there for like a guy's weekend and you just hit every distillery, you would still be totally fine with that.
Oh yeah. Willett was the place I went. Okay, they're beautiful. Yeah. I really love their rye. I love their rye. They have a few other brands that it turns out I like those as well. I just never really tried them before until I went there. And the nice thing about when you go to the distillery and have a tasting, they'll have these crazy old or like expensive just bottles you wouldn't ordinarily see, and they'll just be pouring a little bit. You can get a little pour of them. Like it's not cheap, but like when else are you going to get to try that? So it's cool, That's kind of what I thought. I know even with the breweries here, and it makes me think back to the days when Burnt Hickory Brewery was young, and they had 3 or 4 or 5 special bottles, like really, really low production bottles. And, at this time, the brewery was almost a homebrew system, essentially, bottling everything by hand. Yeah. And the only way you could try their rare bottles was to go on a brewery tour. And at the end of the tour, they kept them in bombers. They did 22-ounce bombers for their special beers. And at the end of the tour, they would give you pours of their special beers. And they did tours, I think, every hour or every 2 hours, I forget. But we would hang out there like all day and go tour
every tour. So to see what we could get, to the point that the head brewer is like, really, guys? Really? We're like, pour up, man. Come on, pour.
Come on. We did the tour. Give us the beer.
Ended up becoming a buddy of ours, Will Avery, when he was with Burnt Hickory Brewery. But that was fun times. Those were the peak Georgia beer times there when things were super exciting.
That was a lot of fun. I really enjoyed
good times, man, for sure. Well, Brian, moving along to what we're drinking now. What are your beers, or I guess seeing your list here, what are your beverages of the week?
Beverages of the week, yeah. So I pre-gamed getting ready for the show with 10 Barrels Salty Sips Watermelon Refresher, and I thought when I opened it, they sent it to us, and I was that's nice of them to do that. Now, if somebody's going to send us a beverage, I'm going to drink it, and talk about it on the air. So I cracked it open, and I was expecting like, oh, it's a seltzer or it's a sour. No, it turns out it's actually a cocktail. So I drank an RTD. It's not high ABV. It's about 5%, I believe.
I think I've got one sitting around here. So
yeah. On the can, it says it's a low sugar cocktail crafted with real fruit juice. That would be the watermelon part. Vodka and a pinch of sea salt. It's very, very pleasant. Not like bang you over the head watermelon, but a very nice. It's refreshing. It's actually really nice.
It says so right there on the can, Brian. It's just 5%. It's a session cocktail.
Exactly right. Had I known, I have some big cubes. I would have poured it on the cube. I poured it in the glass. I'm like, man, this doesn't hold a head, or the carbonation is pretty low in this. I'm like, oh, it's just not carbonated at all.
You raw dogged it. You didn't put it over ice, huh?
Nope. I just,
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
I didn't know what I was doing. I'm like, YOLO.
Next
just poured the thing and started drinking. I'm like, it's pretty good. I should have put it on ice. But there we go. So anyway, it was good. And thank you to 10 Barrel for sending those to us. Appreciate that. I am now working on Mason Ale Works Millennial Falcon, which is a galactic double dry hop West Coast IPA with Citra and Mosaic. And the can is great. Love the can. Love the art on it. Love the pun. And later on, probably with the Patreon folks in the after party, I'll be getting into an other half all Citra everything, which is a double IPA, a New England double IPA, excuse me, which is double dry hopped with an extra dose of Citra lupulin powder to make sure you don't miss that this is about Citra. So I don't know if I've had this one before, so I'm pretty excited about this.
Good stuff, man. Sounds awesome. And y'all, Nate is still on assignment. I think he was trying to make it to the show tonight. He actually landed at the airport not long ago, but it's Atlanta traffic at 5:30. So you can only do so much with that. But moving right along here, I think most of us know that the America's 250th birthday is coming up. So,
correct.
250. And Brian, I just thought of this. So relative to what I'm about to say, you just turned 50 this
correct. Yes.
So, which means you were born in 1976, which I think the math checks out on that.
So, that works out. Yeah.
So that would indicate that you do not remember America's sesquicentennial celebrations, then, do you?
What
bicentennial? Excuse me, bicentennial.
So the bicentennial, that's the 200th.
That's the bicentennial.
200. Yeah. I was part of the celebration, me being born. That's the way I look at
part of it, right?
I don't have strong memories of that time. No, Tim,
I have vague memories. Of course, there were big celebrations and all. The bicentennial quarters were the big thing when they came out with those. That was a big thing for it, but I think the cool thing is absolutely everything is going extremely well with the plans for America's 250th birthday. Like there's no controversy or anything like that. It's going extremely well. So that's going to be great. But related to all of that, Brian, part of America's history is beer, going all the way back to the founding fathers and even George Washington. And there's still a recipe of George Washington's, a beer that he made around. And the New York Public Library is partnering to brew George Washington's beer.
Yeah, for the 250th birthday celebration here. And it's not just one. It actually was, we'll find out later. I think there are several that George Washington wrote down over time. But
exciting.
They're collaborating with Talea Beer Company. And I'm sorry if I'm getting that wrong. The Talea, Talea. Anyway, they're resurrecting a 269-year-old small beer recipe from George Washington's personal military notebook. And the library actually owns and guards Washington's original notebook. So they have this book. And in the article that in the New York Times, the person that wrote about it actually went and saw the notebook, saw the recipe, and then went to another location to drink the beer. But when Washington wrote down the recipe in 1757, he wasn't president at that time. He was a young militia commander fighting for the British during the French and Indian War, which is crazy when you think about it. It's like, he was actually just a British soldier at one point in time. The beer was utilitarian in nature. It was a low alcohol beer made specifically for the troops. They drank the beer because base camp water was often contaminated and dangerous to drink. And people were getting dysentery a lot. It wasn't just the Oregon Trail that dysentery sprung up on you on. So that happened a fair amount. The collaboration beer is darker than you might expect it to be if you were expecting it to look like a pale ale or some pale lager anyway. It's said to resemble rum in color, which makes sense because the principal ingredient in the beer is molasses. It's also described as smelling like heavy sweet molasses. However, it apparently is not as sweet as it smells. Reportedly, it is both balanced and very drinkable. So that's what the article wrote up. Talea Beer Company, the brewery that made the beer, is also doing a second version. The second one is a modernized, highly drinkable commercial version called Liberty Lager. Liberty Lager will be a more widely available beer than George Washington's beer, which is what they're calling this one, just George Washington's beer. This one I'm talking about here is a very limited release. The Liberty Lager, I think, will be available wherever you can get stuff from Talea Beer Company.
That's pretty cool, man. Yeah. I really enjoy exploring these old style, these old recipe beers and that. And now I have brewed with molasses. It doesn't, all the sugar gets eaten. It's usually not very good. And I have heard that it's important to know how to brew with it, like, what you used to use in that it's a little tricky ingredient. I would be interested to try it, but I do think the fact that they're doing a modernized, highly drinkable version of it probably tells you that the original recipe may not be up to modern taste there.
Probably not. And
enjoy it for the historical context.
Exactly. And that's exactly why I would like to try it. It's a lower ABV thing. And they do say it's drinkable. It has a very sweet aroma to it. I'm curious because what I remember from molasses is it's a little funky sometimes.
Kind of brew with it. Stinky, bitter. Harsh. But I'm sure, people that probably know more than we did as homebrewers are making this one. So who knows? And Brian, we brewed a presidential beer when we were home brewing more. We did.
Well,
Obama had a honey beer. I think Obama had a couple beers that he brewed at the White House, but one was they just called it like the White House Honey Ale. And
that's what we did, right?
Yeah. That was one of our earlier beers. I actually still have a bottle of that.
It was like one of our first 2 or 3, wasn't it?
Yeah, it wasn't great. It was not great, but we did brew it. So, and you know what? If you want to brew it, it is still on. It's actually on obamawhitehouse.archives.gov. But if you just Google Obama White House Honey Ale, you should go right to the recipe. So if that's something you'd like to do and brew a presidential beer. Brian, do you know? I bet they have, but do you know if they published that George Washington recipe?
You know what? No, I'm not 100% sure.
Yeah, okay.
I would assume so. I would assume it's out there.
I'm sure they've got a lot of those archives, digitized these days.
Yeah, I think there was even a screenshot in the article of the person pointing at the notebook, but the writing on it you could see, but I didn't focus on it. It was hard to make out what was actually written there. It was, somebody's scrawl, like their cursive.
Yeah, I saw a post that showed the picture of the actual journal page that had that on there, and at least based on the picture posted on social media, I couldn't make out what it said there.
And I think some of this is left out to interpretation because untalented, maybe unequipped as we were starting out as homebrewers. They were out in the field, so they were brewing this with whatever they had. They probably had fill that pot. Like, how big is that pot? Who knows? It's just fill the pot.
Yeah, put 2 farthings of water in a
2 elbow creases of cinnamon.
Right?
An elbow.
3 eyes of newt. Yeah, they were a little loose in what they could do out there.
So there's a little extrapolation going on.
Yeah. Okay.
I think this is, this kind of thing has been done in the past. So people have messed around with this before. It would be cool to make a drinkable version. I'd like to try their commercial version of it.
I'd like to try both.
Yeah.
See what they did.
I would.
If we could get our hands on them. You know what? I got friends up in New York. I'll put them on the case, man, and we'll see what we can do here for sure. Yeah. Let's see. And Brian, more American beer history. I think we'll probably be seeing more and more of this as we get closer to the celebration here. But Sam Adams is also bringing back some historical beers for America's 250th birthday.
Yeah. Boston Beer is definitely throwing their hat in the ring. They're not going to be left behind in this historic beer situation here. But Yeah, it's also in celebration of the 250th. They're opening the Sam Adams Vault, is the way they termed it, and bringing back a historic 4-pack based on the actual recipes of the Founding Fathers. They call it a bold and experimental limited edition 4-pack, and it's officially titled the Brewer Patriot Collection. They originally released this 4-pack 20 years ago in 2006, so I guess that's the 230th.
I guess that checks out.
Yeah, birthday. Yeah.
I don't think they have a fancy name for 230th there, so
probably can come up with one. But reportedly, George Washington, I think we've already covered that he did. But James Madison, Thomas Jefferson, and the brand's namesake Samuel Adams all came up with their own beer recipes, and each beer in this 4-pack is a tribute to one of them. First up in the 4-pack is George Washington Porter. They say he loved porters and he popularized the style in the U.S. back in the day, and he definitely brewed his own recipes at home. And I believe this is well after the previous beer was made. The recipe they're using also comes from the New York Public Library again, but unlike the beer we talked about earlier, this wasn't a low ABV small beer. It's about, what they've produced is about 5.5% ABV, and it features tasting notes of toffee, cocoa, and dates. And it does include molasses like the other one, but it also includes licorice too, which is a very interesting thing. So it's not the same beer. I think it's a beer he came up with at home under better circumstances.
He's making the pastry stouts, pastry porters back there.
Kind of, yeah. I think I would really like to try this one as well. I like a good porter, and I'm intrigued by licorice and molasses and toffee and cocoa and dates and all that. That sounds potentially good. So the second brew is James Madison Dark Wheat Ale, also 5.5% ABV. James Madison was a dedicated homebrewer and reportedly was mentored by Thomas Jefferson in the craft of brewing beer. James Madison also tried to establish a national brewery and a cabinet-level position called the Secretary of Beer. But,
love him.
Yeah. Great guy. Unfortunately, he was unsuccessful. His brilliance was not appreciated. But the third in the lineup is 1790 Hard Root Beer. The name comes from the year that alcoholic root beers became a big thing across colonial American taverns. According to history, the spicy herbal style of this type of drink would have been what Samuel Adams would have brewed himself and would have enjoyed with his cousin John Adams. The fourth beer in the lineup is number 3 Ginger Honey Ale. It seems ginger beer was a staple brew of the kitchen in the 1700s, so like a lot of people were making that. Thomas Jefferson and his wife Martha kept multiple notes about their different brews. They are said to have brewed 15 gallons of it every 2 weeks at their Monticello estate. So if you'd like to get your hands on the Brewer Patriot Collection, you can order online at givethembeer.com for $17.76 while supplies last. Good luck with that. I'm not sure how quickly that's going to go out of stock. It may already be sold out at this point in time, but
did you order it?
I didn't.
I'm amazed you did. I figured you would have been all over that, Brian. So,
yeah, I should have. Well, I was kind of wondering with a thing like that. It occurred to me, and I didn't get confirmation of this exactly. AI tells me that this isn't going into distribution, so it won't be going out there. But I didn't see an article that specifically said it was only going to be available from this one location. Maybe I didn't read the right stuff. So I'm wondering if it's going to show up in select amounts, in distribution or not.
Okay.
But I actually think it may already be sold out, unfortunately.
For what it's worth, I did look as we were recording the show. It is currently sold out at the link that Brian gave you. So
perhaps there will be another drop, though.
Yeah. So take a look. As of right now, it's sold out, but see what you can do. We always find out about this stuff a little too late, Brian, is the problem.
Yeah.
So
this is the first I'd seen this. I'm like, I came across it this week. I didn't see anything about it. I think by the time I was aware of it, it's possible that the people that it had already been bought up by people.
Gone. Yeah. As soon as it's out there, gone. It happens. Brian, in case you were wondering, 200 years is a bicentennial. That one's easy enough. Do you know what the word is for 250?
No.
I need some Jeopardy music here. Give you a second to think on it. So
25 centile.
I don't think that's not right. Brian, it is the Semi-quincentennial.
Oh, that makes sense. Quin's 500. Quincentennial would be 500. So semi would be half. I guess that makes sense.
Half of 500, I guess, is what semi-quincentennial. I guess that checks out. Seems like a hard way to get there, but
I think there's a reason why I've not heard anybody use that particular name for it.
Yeah,
because
that's like Roman numerals.
That doesn't quite roll off the tongue exactly. So
how much is it? Half of 500. Do we have a better way to say this?
Yeah. Or you could just tell me what the number is,
250. There we go. Let's go with that one. It makes more sense. Well, Brian, moving along, some beer news, distribution news here. Vermont, which I'm actually surprised they didn't have it because Vermont is pretty craft friendly. But Vermont is away from expanding self-distribution. So it sounds like there is some there. They're just expanding on what they can do.
Yeah, really close. So the craft brewers in Vermont are incredibly close to a major legal victory here. They are one step away, as you were saying, from expanded self-distribution privileges. They have some, but this is going to really make it a lot easier. And I'll get into that in a second here. The state Senate approved a self-distribution bill on May 21st, and that bill is now sitting on the governor's desk. He is expected to sign it within the next 2 weeks. There's no indication that he won't. If the government signs it as expected, the new law will go into effect really quickly. It will go into effect on July 1st. It would allow malt beverage manufacturers to self-distribute up to 3,000 barrels of beer under their existing manufacturer licenses. The original amount was apparently 5,000 barrels, but the Vermont Beer Wholesalers Association wasn't having that. That would have been entirely too many beers they weren't making a nickel off of, and they were seriously concerned that some mid-sized breweries wouldn't be forced to use their services if they didn't want to use them. So, their freedom to not use those services, well, we can't have that. And that was written up as part of it. This was a negotiation to keep them happy. Make sure to line their pockets. But anyway, right now, Vermont technically allows breweries to do self-distribution, but they have to jump through some bureaucratic hoops to do so, and they're expensive. They have to set up a completely separate distribution company, which means keeping two sets of books, doing taxes twice, paying extra licensing fees, and buying double the insurance to cover both entities. This bill kills all that extra nonsense. The bill is a lifeline for smaller breweries in the state, partly saving them a ton in administrative costs, but it also gives them a way to get to market when they lose their distributor due to closures and consolidations. Breweries aren't the only ones closing these days. Distributors are doing so as well, and they're getting bought up, getting consolidated, and some of those brands just get lost. And not all the brands get picked back up when somebody closes or buys out a distributor. So anyway, the point is an early congratulations to Vermont on the win. So this looks like a huge thing for them. I think it's really going to help out. It's really going to help the smaller and mid-sized breweries, stay open, basically,
Yeah, absolutely. And Brian, we've talked about it before. If you haven't listened to us forever, you're newer to beer, the distribution laws, and it's tough, Brian. I don't want to see anybody lose a job or a business hurt, but it's tough to see a brewer have to literally pay the price for a distributor to do well, like for there to be legal protections against that. No, you can't distribute your product. You have to go through this company and, fighting these kind of legal loopholes to do all of this stuff. And, we go back post-prohibition with the 3-tier system and what it was supposed to protect and all that. And again, we've talked about it before, Brian. You have these small breweries that start up, and it really doesn't make sense for them to sign on with a distributor because they're going to have such a minimal amount to send out. And two, distributors don't want to mess with brewers of that size. If they've got someone that they're literally getting like 20 cases a week from or whatever, it's just generally not worth it for them. So I understand, kind of protecting the business interest too. Not really. I do, but I don't, Brian, to be honest with you. I mean, if distributors are hurt because brewers are allowed to distribute their own product, no ill will towards the distributors, but that's not it. But they are putting protections. Most places are putting protections into place. And to be honest, a lot of breweries, they don't want to distribute when they get to be a large brewery. It's a lot of stuff. You've got to manage a fleet of trucks and things like that. And good for you if you can handle that. If you're as good,
at that, or better, if it's more cost effective for you to do it at any scale, then by all means, I think you should be able to do it. Why should you be forced into using basically a service that's either inferior or more expensive than the one you can provide to yourself? I think that's the only thing that makes sense. I don't see I don't see any valid reason for any kind of protection for distribution services, because they're absolutely essential at a certain size. So these companies, as they grow, there's no chance they're going to want to do all that. They're not going to want to maintain a fleet and do all that logistical stuff.
Yeah.
They are going to look to outsource that because that's not what they're good at. But when you're small, maybe you are, maybe you're fine, or maybe just the savings are just make it worthwhile, even with the inefficiency. So, yeah.
They could, I definitely appreciate them getting the 3,000 barrels and that, but you look at a lot of the small brewers in Georgia. Some of these are seriously 500-600 barrels a year. It's not a massive amount. And if you looked at breweries like that, I think 3,000 is a good number to say, hey, if you're under this, do it your own thing. I know in Georgia, we've looked at things like within your own county or within a certain radius or something like that, which totally makes sense. You don't want to be running all over the state, but if your neighborhood bar across the street wants to support the local brewery and carry your beer, drag a keg over there and let them tap it.
Should be able to
do that kind of thing. So, and technically the 3-tier system is supposed to prevent tied houses, essentially, where a retailer or a distributor or anybody is tied to a brewery. But anywhere the distribution, it may not be on paper that way, but we know who the AB InBev distributors are. We know how it is. So,
there's other ways of achieving the same thing, and of course, they're going to do what it takes to achieve that same thing.
And distributors got money; they got politicians in their pockets. That's for sure.
The only reason these things continue to be this way is because they've got money, and the only reason they have the money is they're forcing the breweries to pay them. So, it's one of those things they have to protect their,
crazy
their monopoly on distribution, basically. I really don't understand why you should be locked into a distributor. I'm like, you should put your stuff out to all of them. I'm like, hey, whoever gets it out to, whatever. Yes. Or if you sign some sort of exclusive deal where you get a bonus for just using them, I get that too. But I don't see a reason why anybody should be locked into one. If they're not doing their job, pull it, give it to another guy,
and
or just give it to several.
Right. You mentioned it, Brian, in your story coverage there, but the distributors can go out of business and it can leave people stuck. Because a distributor goes out of business doesn't mean you can just automatically go pick another one up. And we saw it here in Georgia many years ago, I think probably a decade ago at this point. But Clown Shoes beer was distributed in Georgia, and their distributor didn't go out of business, but they decided they were no longer going to distribute beer. They were going with wine and spirits. And Clown Shoes like, oh, okay, well, that stinks. We'll just release this from our contract so we can get another distributor. They're like, nope. No. And they were totally within the law to do that, but fortunately in that case, there was a pretty big backlash on social media. A lot of news got out. So they did end up releasing them and letting them go with another distributor. But initially they're like, no. And they were totally okay to do that.
And the fact that they felt entitled to do that is telling.
Yeah. Wild.
That
wild
tells
stuff,
you,
Brian.
That tells you the kind of organizations we're talking about.
Yeah. Well, Brian, let's give a shout out to one of our good friends and a great beer bar, Truck and Tap.
Yes. So, just when you think life can't get any weirder, you discover that Google will no longer give you a straight answer about when summer officially begins. And I'm not kidding about this. I had a rough idea of when I thought it was, but I decided to double check because I'm like that. Google responded to my query with, well, it depends on if you're following an astronomical or a meteorological calendar. Cannot say that other word. Like, what? My calendar has neither asteroids nor meteors on it. I have no idea what calendar I follow. So here's the thing. It's either currently summer or it will be summer in 2 weeks, depending on your team. And the whole point of this is to determine if right now is the right time for summer beers. And by that, I mean stouts, of course, because stouts are for summer, as we had previously established. But since I have no idea and the weather's been weird lately, I'm just going to give you the most interesting beers on tap right now at Truck and Tap in a little thing I like to call my Truck and Tap beer picks for the week. At Truck and Tap Woodstock, I'm going with North Coast Old Rasputin on Nitro. I have recommended this one before. It's a classic, and it's great on Nitro. It's nice to keep seeing it come back to Truck and Tap. They know what's up, and obviously their customers do too, because they keep drinking it, and it keeps coming back. So love that. Love that. At the Duluth location, I'm getting Fair Day by Halfway Crooks. Halfway Crooks is known for their lagers for good reason, but this one isn't a lager. Fair Day is a plain old American IPA. They describe it as tropical fruit, citrus, and gooseberry forward, clean and balanced, flavorful without being a blunt instrument. And that definitely sounds like a Halfway Crooks beer to me, and it also sounds like a winner. At the Truck and Tap Alpharetta, my pick is Dunkelplatz from Round Trip. Dunkelplatz is a Munich Dunkel, which is a style you don't see around very often these days. It's kind of a beer that will offer you a rich, deep, malty flavor without being, overwhelmingly sweet or heavy. So a nice, dark, but, medium body beer probably. So Round Trip knows traditional German styles, and as I recall, this is a good example of what they can do with traditional German beers. And finally, at the Lawrenceville location, I'm going with Left Hand's Chocolate Orange on the Nitro Tap. That's right. I am doubling down on Nitro Stouts this week because, again, stouts are for summer, and it might be currently summer or it might not be. Either way. In addition to what the Nitro brings you with this beer, you can expect orange, cocoa, vanilla, and some sweet milk sugars because it is a milk stout. So I love my milk stouts even if they don't love me. Anyway, and there you have my beer picks for the week. Get out there and have a beer or two. As always, if you'd like to see a full tap list before stopping by, take a look at truckandtap.com. Taps do change quickly, and you never know what great new beers might go on and which of these might disappear. And if you'd like to see what the food trucks are serving and what events are happening, trivia, karaoke, live music, cocktail specials, etc., you can find that at truckandtap.com. Everything you need to know can be found at truckandtap.com, so check that out. And thank you to Truck and Tap for your support.
Thank you, Truck and Tap. We appreciate it. Brian, we're kind of, would they call this like Schrodinger's summer, basically, that we're in right now? It's both like summer and not summer.
At the same time, depending on how you look at it.
Yeah.
Which calendar you look at.
So for what it's worth, I asked Claude why you were doing that, and he very directly said it's June 21st.
That's what I thought. What I thought. But
no BS around. He said, that's June 21st. That's just a few weeks away. He even threw that in there for me.
Yeah. So I'm like, that was what I expected. And that in the past, when I've done Google a question about that, usually just answers you exactly the day. It's like, well, it all depends. I'm like, I'm not looking for it depends. Like, this is something that I think everybody agrees on. Now it's like
getting philosophical on us. A lot of people have been not beer related, but people are not happy with Google right now. And I heard I know that you know the search engine DuckDuckGo.
Yes, I have.
Apparently, they've seen a pretty big growth in traffic because people don't like this AI stuff that Google throws on everything, where it tries to ponder your answer in there. Because for one, it gets a lot of stuff wrong, or it throws a lot of BS in there. So DuckDuckGo, I believe their standard search does have AI enhancement, as you would call it, but they specifically have a non-AI search engine where I think it's like noai.duckduckgo.com directly.
I think I saw
AI in there.
Them promoting that. Aren't they kind of like the backlash to like the other guys are tracking you, we're not?
Yeah,
I think that was their thing. The counterculture, the X-Files type of thing, the man is always watching you, come over here, put on your tinfoil hat. Because I always kind of thought that of them, like if you really want to be away from the machine, that's monitoring everything, you go to DuckDuckGo. But I haven't used it. I don't have a beef with it. I just wind up using Google because it's just convenient.
Remember when there were like several search engines competing though? Like it wasn't necessarily Google. We had Ask Jeeves was a thing for a while.
Excite, I think
Excite. There was
Alta Vista. I used a fair amount.
Yahoo
back in the day.
Was actually a search engine for a while. So back before Google just dominated. And what I heard talking about DuckDuckGo getting the traffic, their 30% growth, they were very clear to say, that's good growth for that's a good number for DuckDuckGo, a notable number, but Google still just absolutely dominates space. It's not like it's that 30% growth for DuckDuckGo was not really a pain point for Google.
It's a 30% off a pretty small number of actual traffic, comparatively speaking.
Right.
So, yeah.
Right. Exactly. So, Brian, we like big beers. We cannot lie. We like big beer bottles, big beer packages. And I think the largest I've seen before is a 99 pack. I think Austin Beer Works did a real long box with 99 beers in there. Actually, didn't someone do like a pallet thing? Like they said, a pallet pack?
There was something like that. I think it was a Canadian thing. Yeah. It was like a presidential pack.
Something like that. Yeah.
I don't recall. It was supposed
to be one beer for every day that Trump was in office. Does that sound correct?
I think so. I think so.
Yeah.
And
yeah. But anyhow, Brian, someone else is out claiming they have made the biggest single unit beer pack ever created, and they want you to know about it.
Yeah, I think the caveat here is it's commercially available. I think that presidential pack thing that I remember, I'm like, that was probably bigger than this. I don't think that was something you could. I don't know if you could
really couldn't run to Kroger and pick it up.
Couldn't actually buy it. So yeah, this story and this record is another win, I guess, for Vermont. So Vermont's in the news heavily this week. Have you ever looked at a 12 pack and thought, man, that 12 pack is cool, but it'd be a lot cooler if it was like 6 feet long and packed with 168 cans? And if you've ever thought that, I have good news for you. If you live in Vermont, Vermont's Long Trail Brewing has come out with a record-breaking box of beer that also doubles as a full-scale hiking map. The Long Trail Brewing is celebrating National Trails Day this weekend by dropping this massive beer pack that pays tribute to Vermont's famous 273-mile-long hiking trail. The trail in question is the one that gave the brewery its name back in 1989. I guess it's called Long Trail. So the trail is called Long Trail. Yeah, I guess that's accurate, The box itself is an illustrated trail map measuring exactly 273 centimeters long, and that's exactly 1 centimeter for each mile of the trail. And you're wondering right now, how long is a centimeter? And unfortunately, nobody knows.
Nobody knows.
Yeah, nobody has any idea. But the box also includes notable landmarks and an elevation profile showing the ascents and descents along the journey. So you really can use it as a guide. And for a little beer math, you're getting 168 cans with this box, and that's equivalent to 7 cases of beer. So that you're buying 7 cases of beer. If my math is right, that means you have enough beer to drink 1 beer every 2 miles of the hike. I think that's how that works out. So, get walking, get drinking. But it's not only a marketing gimmick. Part of the proceeds go to the Ales for Trails campaign, which benefits several outdoor organizations. The money goes towards keeping trails open and maintained and accessible for everybody who likes the outdoors. So there's a point to this. It gets their name out, sure, but they're going to donate some of the proceeds to helping out these trails. So that's cool.
Yeah, I love beer for a good cause, man.
Yeah,
it's awesome, fun stuff. It's fun. Beer outdoors.
Yeah, absolutely. I debate if I saw this in a store, if I would try to buy it. I think my first thought would be like, can I fit that in my truck? Would this or my SUV?
Now you're going to have to fit. You're going to have to drink 168 of the same beers. What are your thoughts on that?
Oh, that's a really good point. Well, I'm going to get to experiment.
Or share.
Probably share. Definitely, people I know, like, would you care for a 6-pack of this stuff? Yeah. Perhaps 2, Now, I definitely, that's a really good point. It's going to sit around for a while, so I think you'd want to distribute.
If you're having a big party or something like that, get a group of friends together. I mean, think of it. If you had 20 friends and you did, a party, a weekend party barbecue or something like that, that's not a ridiculous number of beers. Probably still more than you need for a group of 20. Let's make it 30. You got about 5-6 beers each. That's a good day. That's a good day of partying in the backyard.
Yeah, that would work. I'm thinking this would be a great thing for somebody who wants to, you buy the pack, you hang up the case because it's a display item, maybe at a bar or something like that. And then, you divvy up the beers amongst a bunch of people who are interested in getting some. So that could be a way of doing it. Yeah, I don't know. I'm not 100% sure who the audience is for this, but I mean, if you're knocking back, you're knocking back a case a weekend or whatever. I'm like, maybe this is not a big deal. I mean, I don't know.
let's not fool ourselves into thinking that if we were slightly younger, like in our bigger party days, we would have bought this whether or not it made sense.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
So I think
true.
I know who their target customer is here, Brian. So it's us from 20 years ago.
It's much younger us.
Yeah. And there's still younger us's out there. Hopefully they'll do what's right and buy that.
They should do the right thing. Buy this ridiculous box of beer. Buy that
box of beer. Absolutely. Brian, the world's largest craft beer museum is opening, and it's in a place that I definitely would have never guessed.
Yeah, it is surprising. So, another record. The new craft beer venue is called New Beer World Craft Beer Museum. It has officially opened its doors in Nanjing, China, and this is a pretty recent thing. And it claims to be the world's largest craft beer museum. And I was thinking about it, it's like, how can they claim such a thing? And I'm like, hold on, do I know of any other craft beer museums? I'm like, I know of people who collect cans and have big collections, but official museums about craft beer, don't know. Maybe individually at breweries, they have some history of their own particular craft. But anyway, so they're probably right. They probably are the biggest. This place is a massive playground for beer lovers. It operates as an exhibition space, has a fully functioning bar, and an experimental education center all rolled into one. And bonus, there is no entry charge to the museum for the general public, so anybody can walk in. It has an extensive curated collection featuring over 1,000 unique beer labels and upwards of 10,000 physical bottles collected from more than 300 countries and or regions. So I guess some of these are regions of China. The lineup spans everything from old school European classics like Belgian Abbey ales, some German stuff like Schwarzbiers and the like, to American IPAs, experimental Japanese beers, and China's own up-and-coming craft beer labels. Visitors can dive into the history and science of brewing. They can learn about hops and fermentation and yeast and all that sort of thing while drinking right there at the fully functional bar. The museum has a few interesting architectural features. One of the big ones is a 270-degree beer wall that is loaded with more than 1,400 bottles. And I saw a picture of it, and it's kind of like, it looked in the picture like almost an inverted pyramid, but like entirely wrapped in bottles. So, so if you love Breweriana, collectibles, beer history, or just like learning about beer, this would be a great place to go. If it were somewhere I could get to easily, I'd definitely drop in and check it out and
be fun.
Go have a drink at the bar. Yeah.
I actually think that I would love to see a beer museum in a place like China just to see what their take on things are. I mean, we know the American take on craft beer and that, like what American beers do they think are significant enough to include in the beer museum, and what beers out there from other places do we not even know about? That would be fun. I would definitely, that is a tour I would definitely do if given the opportunity.
Yeah, that would be really cool. And and they are positioning it as an opportunity for breweries both in China and from internationally to come in and showcase their beer. So kind of an exhibition space too, kind of cool marketing. So I think there's that angle as well, and the whole bar thing. It's a pretty clever idea.
Sounds neat.
I hope it works out for them, and it would be cool to check out sometime.
I did a little Googling, and it looks like there's people that have done a few videos on it there. So I have to go check out a video and see what's up there.
Yeah, 10,000 bottles in there somehow, and I guess you can look at most of them. At least 1,400 of them are on that one beer wall. So
have you drank 10,000 beers in your life, Brian? I know you still use Untapped. What's your tally up to there?
I'm going to say
I crossed 5,000 at some point. So I'm guessing, and because I know you've used it a lot more religiously than I have as of late.
I'm far from like religious about it. I do check. Yeah. I do still try to check in fairly unique often, especially anything unique.
Yeah.
So my actual number of check-ins is I've definitely had 10,000 beers. 14,000 over check-ins,
14,000,
but 7,658 unique ones. So I'm not that impressive.
So they're bound to have something you haven't had yet.
I'm sure.
At the beer museum.
I don't think I've ever had, and they're definitely going to have Snow, which is their big beer there. I've never had the original Snow.
There you go. Yeah,
the international one that's made it over here. I saw that just this weekend. In fact, I'm like, oh hey, there's that international version of Snow. I'm like, I've had that. It's fine, but
that's fine.
I didn't buy it, but yeah.
You've been there, done that. Good enough. Checked off the list, right?
Exactly. Yes.
Did you check it in on Untapped, Brian?
Pretty sure I did. That's one because of what it was, and we talked about it as a story. I try to check into those things, Yeah. Again, anything that's interesting that if I'm likely to go back and look into it in the future and wonder what I thought about it, I'm going to check into it.
For sure. Absolutely. Well, Brian, we talk about Miller all the time and their marketing. If nothing else, they do some fun marketing gimmicks, crazy stuff. I think back to our beer drops that we had at one time. I think you may still actually have a box of the beer drops there. So they're right there handy if you need beer drops at the ready if you need them, Brian. Absolutely. And
I don't know if you could see it, but there was a cloud of dust when I almost dropped it. It just
did it. That shows how much use they're getting.
Yeah,
they're vintage.
Not at all.
It's cellared beer drops at this point. Well, Brian, again, Miller always with their marketing gimmicks, and now they have got, and this is currently up for bid, or it was last time I looked, up for bid on eBay, the Miller High Life Juke Keg, which is a jukebox kegerator. Essentially, It's a jukebox that dispenses beer.
Yeah, if you like a jukebox and you love beer, it's kind of the Frankenstein monster of your dreams. Miller has created a fully functioning Crosley jukebox, and they specifically mentioned Crosley. So I don't know my jukeboxes, but I get the impression that that's a good brand in jukebox. It's also a kegerator. In keeping with the theme of previous Miller creations, the intent was to capture the spirit and the charm of your classic neighborhood dive bar, or at least its jukebox. And the juke keg is decidedly retro looking. It would definitely fit in with an old dive bar. It has a beer tap with a legitimate draft system hidden inside, plus all the necessary CO2 hardware and regulators and all that thing. So this thing is legitimately also a very good, kegerator. And my understanding is it'll play CDs, and I think you can even do Bluetooth with it. Even though it looks retro, it's got modern stuff. Like CDs aren't that modern, but it's like CDs, something else, and Bluetooth that you can connect your phone to it. So good for that. But if you want the juke keg, like you said, you have to bid for it on eBay. The auction is live as of this moment when I'm talking. A few minutes ago when I last looked, it was originally listed for $1.23, which was a little subtle nod to Miller High Life's 123 year history at this point. And the last time I looked, the auction was up over $10,000, which is a little rich for my blood. I think it might be $11,000 actually right now. So I'm probably not going to wind up with it. But the good news is if you do win the auction, you will also get a $150 gift card to help you buy that first keg of beer, because they don't want you to spend all this money on the kegerator and then not have any money for beer. So they got you hooked up there. It is for a good cause. In addition to the marketing to sell the beer, all the proceeds from the auction will go to the Wisconsin Area Music Industry, which is the name of an organization that supports musicians and venues in Surprise, Wisconsin. I honestly don't know how Miller has time to brew beer with all these other things stuff they keep working on. And it's like, at this point, it's not even clear to me if they make things like this to sell beer, or if they sell beer just so they can make things like this, because maybe they're just a craft shop that's just funded by beer. And I would like them more if that were the case. But
I don't have $11,000 to spend on a juke keg, Brian, but this is pretty cool. Like, as far as cheesy stuff they've done, this is pretty cool. And I recommend, if you're listening to this, go to eBay and check out the auction. It's called, on eBay, it's listed as the Miller High Life Juke Keg, a beer pouring jukebox. And as you mentioned, Brian, very retro looking. Got a nice retro look to it. And it says here, Brian, it has multiple light settings to set the mood in the room there. It stands over 5 feet tall to own the room. It has, as you mentioned, Bluetooth speaker, a radio. I don't know if you mentioned that, but Bluetooth, the radio, and the CD player. There's room to store your glassware, and it holds a half barrel keg too. So,
glassware on top of it. You know what, Tim?
Yeah.
Would you have $11,000 if instead of room to store your glassware, it was room to store your fragrances?
I don't see why I can't store my fragrances in the place with maybe a couple glasses, a couple perfumes.
Exactly.
We'll be there. So a couple tins of seafood there.
Exactly. Nothing polo green glassware and
yeah. They got me covered, man. They got me covered. But yeah, okay. All right, Miller, we'll give you this one isn't just simply cheesy, which a lot of the stuff that you do is. This is pretty cool. This is pretty neat.
And I think I like that they're doing initially it's like eBay. Oh, that's weird. The eBay is a cool idea. They are donating the proceeds.
Brian.
Yeah, anybody has a shot at this. If you're willing to go buck wild on this, it's yours, and it's only going to just benefit the folks in Wisconsin that this is going towards. So yeah, it's kind of a win-win. It's better than it just being you fill out a form and hope that you win it and you never hear anything back, so you just forget about it.
Put your money where your mouth is. How much do you want this juke keg?
Yeah, kind of exciting. So it's
I have to watch it. I'm going to like the post so it keeps me updated here on what's going on. So I'll find out when this sells. We'll see how much someone finally ponied up for the juke keg.
I am going to be curious about it too, and it looks like it'll be done by the end of the weekend. Oh no, it says Monday 8 a.m. So
okay, all right,
you got a little time. You can think about it.
You can start your work week knowing you are the proud owner of a new juke keg. Absolutely, be a good time, man. Good time, awesome. Well, Brian, I know this is a problem that you and the wife face a lot. You're wanting to take the kids out for dinner. You're wanting a nice family-friendly place. You're like, should we go to Chuck E. Cheese?
Sure.
Should we go to McDonald's? Great news, Brian. You're going to have a new choice soon. Thanks to some upcoming changes, there is going to be a new family-friendly restaurant right around the corner for most people.
Yes. Yeah. The craziest beer-adjacent news of the week is Hooters is on a mission to fix its image. The CEO claims they want to go back to being a relaxed beach themed neighborhood spot where families, singles, and couples all feel comfortable hanging out. They are trying to become family friendly. Or again, they claim that they're trying to return to being family friendly. I kind of have a dumb question though. Was that ever what they were really about? I'm like, I just kind of feel like that never was. But anyway, let me get to it. Back to it here. The guy leading the charges, Neil Kiefer, a guy who's been with Hooters since the day one back in 1983. So he may know what he's talking about. He was their attorney back then. He claims that the chain lost its way back in 2001 when the original owners sold off the brand to private equity firms and other investors. At this point, you might be wondering, it's like, why are you guys talking about Hooters? Because this is actually the next chapter in a crazy story we talked about before. I don't know if you'll remember this, but around this time last year, Hulk Hogan and his Real American Beer Company, which was all over the news for a while, was actually trying to buy Hooters when they went into bankruptcy on top of all the other craziness that was happening. And they were competing for the ownership against the people from Hooters. So they were trying to buy Hooters away from Hooters, which is just insane. But and then there was some debate about the legalities of the beer company owning a chain of bars with the whole 3-tier system and all that. But, we've basically learned at this point that they were ultimately not successful. The company wasn't. And that this is like the first news that I've heard or seen about this since, telling me how it all shook out. So it's kind of closing the chapter. So getting back to Hooters, if you are a fan, you're probably going to notice some changes. They're focusing on two things. The first one is making sure the waitress's attire is appropriate for a family environment. According to the story I read, they were, in some cases, wearing not much more than very skimpy bikinis, thongs, that sort of thing in the restaurant. I never saw that, but apparently that was a thing for a while. And they're also working and fixing some widespread issue with the Hooter sauce. The current CEO is making a big deal about the sauce being wrong or missing at many locations due to prior mismanagement. So if the food was your big beef with the place, maybe that's going to be fixed. So in all, it's a strange end to a weird story. And Tim and I were talking about this, before the show, actually a day or two ago, really. I haven't been to a Hooters in like at least years, if not like a decade or more. And yeah, I think the one I even used to go to has closed up. I used to go with people from work. It was a favorite lunch spot for people at work. So I think that's even gone out of business. So a lot of them have closed down as well. So Tim, when was the last time you went to one? And now that you know about this being family friendly, are you more likely to go back to a Hooters and check it out?
I'll tell you this. The fact that it's becoming family friendly does not make me more apt to go back. But just thinking of Hooters in general, I have not been in, probably like you, Brian, probably a decade or more. But I'm like, man, so I remember they had these buffalo shrimp, and Brian, I think you may have mentioned that.
Yes.
Did you ever have their buffalo shrimp? Those were good. I enjoyed those.
I like them. I like their wings too.
Nothing fancy, but it did make me think of a story way back when I was a religious man. We had a church potluck one time, and we're all bringing our dishes in, setting things up, and this really old dude comes in with 2 buckets of Hooters wings. Like, that's what he brought to the church potluck, was a couple buckets of Hooters wings. And, as far as it being tasteless, risque, whatever, they never were when I went there. Like, there's newer places out. There's a place, I think there's one called the Tilted Kilt. And there's another one called, I think Twin Peaks or something. That's
the one. Yeah. There's one not far from me. I've never been to it. Yeah.
Both of those were skimpier outfits and a little more risque than Hooters, and probably intentionally. They wanted to kick it up a notch. But you know what? I'd go back, man. I'd get some buffalo shrimp and see what's up, see how they're doing. I think something like this is hard because no matter what they do to try it, I think doing a 180 like that with a place like Hooters is going to be tough. And I don't know if you remember it, but a few years ago, they tried to take the wings out into their own restaurant. And I don't know if those even still exist, but I think it was just called Hoots. And it was just a wing place, like a fast food wing joint kind of place. And I haven't heard that mentioned. I don't know if there's any of them still around, but it does seem like they're really just, grasping at straws here to try and make something work. Good luck to them. I doubt the potential success of this move.
Hooters is always a place that if it was a convenience place, if it was there and I was looking for a place to go, I didn't get super excited about it. Honestly, the only thing I ever remember is it was always skin tight short orange shorts and a skin tight outfit and
tight t-shirt.
It was tight t-shirt. It was tight clothing. Big deal. Everybody runs around tight clothing these days. So it's not in anything to me, but I actually did like the wings. I did like the buffalo shrimp a good amount. So I would go back for that, but it was never something not a destination thing gotta have that. If I'm in the area, I'm oh yeah, I could go for some of that. Let's go get that. So I'd consider doing it for that. But again, I don't think we have an opportunity. I think most of the ones in our area have closed. So
I have never personally chosen to go to Hooters. Anytime I've ever been, it's because someone else, years ago, I worked with a guy that he claimed to love their grilled cheese sandwich. So every now and then when we were going to work, to lunch from work, he would say, "Hey, let's go there, man. I want to get a grilled cheese." And we're like, "Man, okay, whatever." But I've never consciously made the decision that that's where I wanted to go.
Definitely had a coworker or actually a boss that was like, "All right, guys, let's go over there." And I always thought, I was always like, all right, as long as the boss is going, it's fine. Cause it was out of the way too. This is a little far away. It adds a lot of time. And if you're trying to keep it in a lunch hour, you're not going to do it. It's
crazy stuff, Brian. Well, y'all, that does wrap it up for our show this week. Thanks as always for hanging out with us here. If you enjoy what we're doing, we would love it if you would tell a friend to tune into the show and subscribe. If you really like what we're doing here, please do consider supporting us on Patreon. Just go to patreon.com/beerguys. I think $5 a month is our entry tier there, Brian. That'll get you in. We'll get you in the Discord chat. We'll invite you to our after party, all that kind of fun stuff. But we do appreciate it. We hope that you have a really, really good week. And don't forget to drink local. Cheers.